Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Young Adults Bedtime Story. Every Thursday at 10 p.m, we come together to read a favourite book of ours. This week, chosen by Luke Wallace, we're going to be reading Mr. Strong. So grab a hot chocolate, grab a blanket, and get comfortable. Let us begin. This is the story of Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong is the strongest person in the whole wide world. The strongest person there has ever been, and probably the strongest person there will ever be. He is so strong, he can not only bend an iron bar with his bare hands, he can tie knots in it. Mr. Strong is so strong, he can throw a cannonball as far as you or I can throw a tennis ball. Mr. Strong is so strong, he can hammer nails into a wall just by tapping them with his finger. Strong by name and strong by nature. And would you like to know the secret of Mr. Strong's strength? Eggs. The more eggs Mr. Strong eats, the stronger he becomes. Stronger and stronger and stronger. Anyway, this story is a funny thing that happened to Mr. Strong one day. That morning, he was having breakfast, and for breakfast he was having eggs, followed by eggs, and to finish, he was having eggs. That was Mr. Strong's normal breakfast. After his eggy breakfast, Mr. Strong cleaned his teeth, and as usual, he squeezed all the toothpaste out of the tube. And as usual, he cleaned his teeth so hard, he broke his toothbrush. Mr. Strong gets through a lot of toothpaste and a lot of toothbrushes. After that, he decided to take a walk. He put on his hat and opened the front door of his house. Crash! What a beautiful day, he thought to himself, and stepping outside his house, he shut his front door. Bang! The door fell off its hinges. Mr. Strong gets through a lot of front doors. Then Mr. Strong went for his walk. He walked through the woods, but he wasn't looking where he was going, and walked slap bang into a huge tree. Crack! The huge tree trunk snapped, and the tree thundered to the ground. Whoops, said Mr. Strong. He walked into town, and again, not looking where he was going, he walked slap bang straight into a bus. Now, as you know, if you or I were to walk into a bus, we'd get run over, wouldn't we? Not Mr. Strong. The bus stops as if it had run into a brick wall. Whoops, said Mr. Strong. Eventually, Mr. Strong walked through the town and into the country, to a farm. The farmer met him in the road, looking very worried. What's the matter? Asked Mr. Strong. It's my cornfield, replied the farmer. It's on fire, and I can't put it out. Mr. Strong looked over the hedge, and sure enough, the cornfield was blazing fiercely. Water, said Mr. Strong. We must get water to put out the fire. But I don't have enough water to put out the whole field, cried the worried farmer, and the nearest water is down at the river, and I don't have a pump. Then we'll have to find something to carry the water, replied Mr. Strong. Is that your barn? He asked the farmer, pointing to a barn in a field. Yes, I was going to put my corn in it, said the farmer, but... Can I use it? Asked Mr. Strong. Yes, but... asked the perplexed farmer. Mr. Strong walked over to the barn, and then do you know what he did? He picked it up. He actually picked up the barn. The farmer couldn't believe his eyes. Then, Mr. Strong carried the barn over his head down to the river. Then he turned the barn upside down. He then lowered it into the river so that it filled up with water. Then, and this shows how strong Mr. Strong is, he picked it up and carried it back to the blazing cornfield. Mr. Strong emptied the upside down bucket full of water over the flames. Sizzle, sizzle, splutter, splutter. 1 minute the flames were leaping high into the air. The next they were gone. However can I thank you? The farmer asked Mr. Strong. Oh, it was nothing, remarked Mr. Strong modestly. But I must find a way to reward you, said the farmer. Well, said Mr. Strong, you're a farmer, so you must keep chickens. Yes. Lots, said the farmer. And chickens lay eggs, went on Mr. Strong. And I'd rather like eggs. Then you shall have as many eggs as you can carry, said the farmer, and took Mr. Strong over to the farmyard. Mr. Strong said goodbye to the farmer and thanked him for the eggs, and the farmer thanked him for helping. Then Mr. Strong, just using one finger, picked up the eggs and went home. Mr. Strong put the eggs carefully down on his kitchen table and went to close the kitchen door. Crash! The door fell off its hinges. Whoops, said Mr. Strong. Crunch! The chair fell to bits. Whoops, said Mr. Strong, and started cooking his lunch. And for lunch, he was starting with eggs, followed by an egg or two. And then for his pudding, he was having, well, can you guess what he was having? Ice cream. This is such a great story. I mean, no matter how strong you are, Mr. Strong was able to find a way to be able to help other people in a difficult situation. And I feel like, especially in this time, where we have uncertainty, just like the cornfield, we weren't too sure about how everything was going to turn out. But no matter what situation there is, there'll always be some sort of certainty regarding what the outcome will be. And probably one of my most favourite Bible quotes comes from Philippians, and it'll probably be something that you or I both know. So Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. And it's just a way of saying we can make it through this difficult situation if we keep him in our minds and he can keep us safe and strong within these situations. Now I know it will be difficult during these times that we're still in lockdown, but being able to help other people, just like what Mr. Strong did, whether it be a case of, in this case, putting out a cornfield which was full of flames, but for you and I, it could be something as simple as just giving someone a call, just giving someone a message to make sure that they're okay, just to see how they're doing, what's going on in their lives, and it's the small things that will help each other strengthen each other through these difficult times. And I feel like by doing that, we'll be able to work our way through this and keep on carrying on through this difficult time. And without God, we won't be able to make it through, and He has got a plan for us, no matter what the situation is. Thank you very much, and good night.